Hey there, viewers, and welcome back to the Self-Made Auto Channel. Got some poor sap that broke down from out of town. It happens to be a lady. So you know what that means? We can stick it right to them. No, that's not what that means. 2015 Honda, it's a Pilot, it's a 3.5. As I mentioned, these folks broke down, called the AAA. The AAA tows them to their facility, so a local shop here. They looked at it and told the lady, you need a motor. But apparently they threw a few parts at it, tried to see if some parts would stick. Doesn't look like anything was sticking, so they told her that she needs a new motor. She thought it was kind of odd, and so called me, got on the Google machine, and wanted a second opinion before they decide to trash it, because they said they don't want to put an engine in this thing. You know, it's a $6,000 ordeal. Put a used motor in one apparently. So they said that if it needs a motor for realsy, they don't want to do it, but they're willing to pay, for a second opinion. So I told her, we might have, an hour or two into it, so maybe a couple $100. I'm $100 an hour, so $100 to $200 to see, for real what's actually going on. And I told her I could give her a guaranteed unlimited limited assessment of what's actually wrong with the car and does it really need a motor. It may. We're still cranking with the old Harbor Freight icon. Oh, where's the little pointing apparatus? Here it is. It's the T10. We're in America, wrong side. So we'll let this get all loaded up here. Starting the car up, cranking it over. The other shop told her that it has 2 cylinders that have lost compression, and that's why it needed an engine. But prior to them doing that, they put some ignition coils in it. So it seems kind of weird that they wouldn't have done a relative compression or something first. Starting it up, it sounds pretty normal cranking it over. VPAW system stuck off. That's a pretty common Honda problem. Cylinder 4, cylinder 5, and a PO 300. The VPS system stuck off. Isn't that there's usually a oil pressure switch that goes funky on these things, and the switch doesn't change status unless the solenoid, unless it does. I don't know which cylinders are the part of the VPS system on this. We might have to look into that. That could be a clue for us. One thing we do want to look at, we're going to go into some live data. I don't remember if these have misfire or cylinder, what they call it. Yeah, it's a crank speed here. Cylinder misfire, yep, so they do show misfires. I'm going to go ahead and start it up. I want to see which cylinders the vehicle tells us is misfiring. 127 on the clock. You know what this lady did tell me is that prior to this, so for some time now, let's say months, I could be wrong on that they were having an issue with the engine light would come on and be on for a day, go off, come on, go off. That's probably the VPS system going wonky would be my guess. Like I say, cranking it up, it don't sound like we got low compression. Okay, it sounds like right there it just shuts an injector off to me. And I think our misfire counter is going to stop working right there. That is true. But we can see, let's put this little bad boy in gear. Yeah, so she's misfiring pretty good. I'm going to give it a little bit of throttle here. Crank speed cylinders 4 and 5 are not reporting anything. Put it back in park. And so it's not cataloging misfires right now. It's interesting because when it starts, let's shut it off. When it starts, it sounds like a single cylinder misfire to me. And then all of a sudden, it changes tones, and it, definitely feels like a 2-cylinder misfire, you know, 2 out of 6, like we're running on 4 cylinders. There's something that happens, and it may be in some kind of self-preservation mode. It, you know, recognizes, you know, cylinder 4 misfire and shuts the injector off, something like that. I'm gonna let it sit here for a second. I'm gonna start it back up and see if we can look at the crank speed data PID, see if that repopulates. We can tell right away if it's something like that's happening. Ah, you know what? I didn't even pay attention to this. Mother lover. This ding dong. We got something going on with an entire bank. 4, 5, and 6. That's the entire front bank. Alright. Let me do this. Does it hold up? Let's shut it off. Oops. Wait for it to shut off, fella. And I'll click happy. Let's turn the injectors off. It doesn't sound weird cranking it over. That's what I'm concerned with. It's gonna be somewhere here. We should be able to shut the injectors off. All injectors. This function continues to stop injectors. Do we wish to continue? Stop the engine. Cut the key on. All injectors are stopped. Do a PCM reset. Okay? Listen. Shut the key back off, key back on. You know something is a little funny. It is I don't hear an individual low cylinder, but it seems like it's cranking pretty excessively fast. I got burned on this once by doing a by ear relative compression test. It was on a Ford Ranger. The entire bank was completely dead. Car sounded like it cranked perfect. Because what I suspect is that we're missing cylinders 4, 5, and 6. So what's the firing order on this thing? Let's see if this is plausible. I bet it is. Let's go here. Let's just do general Google action. It's probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is my guess. On the pilot. 3.5. Oh, look at that firing order right up there on top. What's our firing order, boys? Oh, no, it's not. So 142, 536, 4, 5, 6. Yep, every other. So we might not hear this. If there is low compression on cylinders 4, 5, and 6, it's going to sound like it cranks normal. Okay. Yeah, I assumed it was. That's for 2014, but I'm sure they haven't changed it. Okay. All right, we got to do something here. I'm not going to bore you with the details. So with the old scan tool, we should be able to do the cylinder cranking speed variation test. So this is a built-in relative compression. Let's see, vehicle is under test. Turn the switch to start. Hold there for 10 seconds. Got the old timer running. A hell of a starter in it, I'll tell you that. Boo-ba-doo, boo-boo. Alright, so our cranking. Okay. Alright. Alright. We're looking good here. It's interesting. Cylinders 1, 2, and 3, which are your back cylinders 4, 5, and 6. Interesting. Okay. Because it throws the code for the valve pause system, I pulled up our valve pause system status. I don't remember their value. We'd have to look this up, but I do remember they have switches that tend to get stuck on. So I brought up the front and the rear rocker arm oil pressure switch. When I fired up, I expect to see one of them stuck on, but look at that. The second this car starts, Yeah, second this car starts, it gets oil pressure. And now because they have these little control solenoids. Oh, look who's brand new. Oh boy, I wonder if they didn't, no, this lady told me ignition. I'm pretty sure she said ignition coil. Oh, are they not, is that not locked in? Felt like I didn't want to. Let me set you down. Well, I don't see any brand new ignition coils, but you can see the acorn nut on number 4 and number 5. They've touched it. But who in the world put this baby on there? Put that bad boy on there. So this is the oil pressure switch. This is the solenoid that controls the VPS system. We're going to unplug it. And then we're going to start it up. We're going to cut the key on. We're going to see if this oil pressure switch is still registering. This does not look like Hondu. This looks like freaking dormant or something here. Yeah, it's got the brown pressure switch in it. We could be wrong. I'm not trying to throw dormant under the bus. And then there should be one back here also. So there's the rear one that looks back here. We're going to plug it because we wonder if it's, you know, stuck electrically. It's odd that it's new. Get the key back on. Still got our data pulled up on the screen. Sorry about the Blair Witch Project thing going on here, but oh yeah, look at that. Let's try this. Oh boy, could you imagine making the call saying, hey lady, you need a $6,000 engine. But real life, real world, you just got a crappy freaking new part. Let's see if I can find a bi-directional control for it. Make sure we have control of it. See if we can hear any clicky clicky. Sorry about that. Got interrupted there for a minute. I'm gonna talk with a fellow. I did find the test here for this solenoid, and it does click on here, clicking and snapping. That doesn't mean it's any good, but I'm taking the bolt out of it right now. There's 2 bolts. I'm just kind of curious if we can pull this solenoid up and out, what it looks like. It does, I did look it up. Dorman does make these, but they also, everybody on the Amazon makes one. There's, you know, 1,000 different variations of cheapness for these. It's just acting like the VPAW system kicks on, so that's cylinders, I don't remember, 4 and 6 or something, I don't remember. So here's a little solenoid. It does plunge. I've got no idea the theory and operation on the oil flow control through the valve. As far as, you know, taking it off, what port's supposed to be open when. You know, Honda doesn't offer a ton of information on that. I'm going to kind of examine this here a little bit and just see if we can make some heads or tails of just looking at this, not spend a ton of time on it. But I'm betting the farm that despite the fact that our solenoid clicks, that the oil pressure is obviously going through it because it's kicking the switch on when it's not supposed to. So things are happening when they're not supposed to, folks. That's the most zoomed in I can get on this thing. The Pinel that sticks up out of this solenoid, it feels like it has okay spring tension, but there's no way I can zoom in enough to show you because it just goes. Let me just stick on something here. Stick! Gosh dang it! There we go. I think if I enhance. I don't think it's gonna zoom any better than that. Got the crickets moving in here. It's hard to see, but the end of this Pinel is kind of messed up. Whoa, unenhanced, fella. it's kind of chowdered up, so it seals off a little teeny tiny port. But it's real catchy. I can catch it with the edge of my fingernail. Yeah, I mean, I can easily catch it. Even without my glasses on, I can see it's distorted. The pinel moves all around. It's super wiggly left and right. I don't think it's sealing off. Just for poop and laughter, I'm gonna take a little tiny bit of some really fine grit sandpaper, see if I can polish up a little bit, see if we can get it to seal and at least prove our theory perhaps. This seems like it's way softer than it should be. Because I'm like barely rubbing on this thing with a little piece of 320 grit with a touch of oil on it, and I'm taking the ridge right clean off it. I just want to see if I can get it back to a point, like I say, perhaps just enough to seal. There's an obvious ridge wore right in it, which is new as this thing looks. That's, you know, must be as it's kicking on and off and just. Anytime I've done stuff with the valve pause system or the valve pause system on the back of the engine where the VTEC is also, I just use OEM on it. There's no way I would use aftermarket. All right, it looks pretty decent. We're gonna plug it back in, hope for the best. Maybe it'll seal, maybe it won't. So I slid that little guy back on. Oh, man down. It does not feel like that plunger sticks out far enough to even hit the female half of the of its mate, its little mating half here. Because you can stick the solenoid on and it just goes right flush. So perhaps the plunger's not even coming out far enough. It retracts when the power is applied to it. But we'll tighten it down here and see if we get lucky. Alright, solenoid plugged in. Let's use our scan tool here. Let's just do an ECM reset because it's easier than clearing the codes. Let's go to data. I don't know if it saves our list or not. Let me just hit OK, see if it does. Oh, look at that, it does. All right. 3, 2, 1, cut the key in. It worked. What a bunch of scumbag. They were gonna sell her a frickin' engine. We literally fixed it with a piece of 300 grit sandpaper. Wow. That must make you feel like a friggin' ding dong, huh? Gosh, you could probably almost Google this problem. Idiots. I usually don't call it a shop idiots, but. Alright, there we go. Just like so, the cheap Chinesium Amazon part strikes again. And our cylinder variation here is mint. Oh, this lady is gonna be ecstatic. I don't even know her, but I know she's gonna be happy because they go from you know, a $5,000–6,000 estimate to yeah, you just need to get rid of your crap parts here. Oops, oops, whoops. There we go. So, yep, no cylinders misfiring. Our cylinder crank acceleration's looking mint. Whoa! We can hear that VTEC. Better not run up too much. We don't know if it got the 100K timing belt. Oh, look at that. We did it before we went home for the night. Listening to crickets. Not even looking at service data. So, They just need to get rid of that piece of crap Chinesium that's on there. Get a genuine Hondu one. And she'll be back in business. Technically, I guess they could drive it back to where they're from. They live a ways away. But I'll see if they just want me to fix it for realsy. And chances are, probably what happened, this is my guess. I'm usually a pretty good guesser because we clean up a lot of people's messes. My guess is the light was coming on and off and had a code for the VPS system. VPS being stuck off typically is usually the code it'll throw because the oil pressure switch goes bad. Makes the cars run like crap. You shut them off, start them up, and they're fine again. Honda has a service bulletin on those, I believe, and there was, depending on what color pressure switch, you know, you bought the new switch and the O-ring and you put it on. Super, super, super common issue on these. But chances are, the light was coming on and off, probably had codes for it. This is just my hypothetical guess here. Went to the shop's like, oh, got on the Google machine. Oh, you know, it says we need this part. Get on the Google machine. Oh, I can get one from Fleabay or Amazon for $9.99. Honda wants $400 or whatever Honda gets for them. Whatever Honda gets for it, pay for it. Quit putting junk on these things. And then they put it on and it was temporarily fixed. It perhaps solved the intermittent, you know, VPS pressure switch stuck off, but then all of a sudden, you know, the cheap Chinesium caught up with you, and where that Pinel goes into the corresponding female hole, if you will. I know it's 2024. We can't say that, but we are. It wore a little groove, and that seal, that mechanical seal, is the only thing that stops the oil pressure from going through whatever paths it goes through. There's no sense in even figuring out because nobody cares. You know, what's the difference? All we know is the solenoid clicks, but it's not sealing. We shined it up with a little bit of 320, got the grooves out of the cone, and Robert's your mother's brother. So that's it. I'm gonna call the lady, tell her she doesn't have to go buy a new car. Sometimes you gotta slow down to go fast, folks. If you're working at the other shop, man, don't just freaking assume things. And I'll tell you right now, they probably did have low compression on those cylinders when they were cranking it, but they should have been able to make the observation during the initial crank. It was bump, 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 had good compression, then all of a sudden, you know, they're cranking the snot out of it, oil pressure came up, shut the lifters off. So, kind of in their defense, I don't know. Use your noodle, that's all I'm saying. Questions, oh, Mrs. O, guess what?
What?
It doesn't need a motor.
It doesn't?
Nope, no parts required. Fix it for free.
Wow. Oh. You're such a hero.
I'm not really. Insty, the Facebook. Whoa, look at the head on that thing. Just remember, viewers, if I can do it, you can do it. Oh, it's getting posted. Oh, yeah. Look at you. You're so pretty.
Even when you're sleepy.
Even when you're mean.
You're homeless.
Thanks for watching.